make things. We use our hands, minds, and machines to build, to fix, to improve. We're known as do-it-yourselfers, home improvement fans, fix-it fanatics, inventors. At our core, though, we're all makers. So let's jump in and make something.
Hi, I'm Ron Hazelton. Welcome to the show. When it comes to home fire protection, smoke alarms are a must. But as effective as they are, smoke alarms can only alert my family to the presence of a fire and hopefully give us time to get out safely. Home fire sprinklers, on the other hand, actually contain a fire and in many cases put it out even before the fire department arrives. Today I'm going to show you how we install the sprinkler system in our 35-year-old home. Then I lend a hand to a couple who want to turn a narrow ledge in their kitchen into a cozy window seat. Stay with me. You'll be glad you did. Every year in our country, over 4,000 people die in fires and tens of thousands of others are injured. Many are scarred and disabled for life. Fire takes an especially gruesome toll among the very young and the elderly. Now, I've experienced home fires, and I know firsthand how quickly they can fill a home with searing heat and choking smoke. I've seen the destruction they could wreak, and I know that the worst fires often strike in the middle of the night, when we're least prepared to defend against them. So when my wife Lynn and I bought this 35-year-old house, we decided to retrofit it with fire sprinklers. Now, this is what's known as a center hall colonial, and one of my concerns is, should there be a fire in the basement or the first floor, this stairwell can fill up with smoke very quickly. Now, our master bedroom is in here, while my daughter's bedroom is down this hallway on this end of the house. Should there be a fire? My fear is I wouldn't be able to reach her. Now, we do have smoke alarms, and that's very important, but all they can really do is alert me to the presence of a fire. Fire sprinklers, on the other hand, actually contain a fire and in many cases put it out even before the fire department arrives. David Walensevich is a certified sprinkler installer, and he'll be doing this job for me. I've just finished painting the inside of the house, so I asked him how much demolition he's going to have to do.
Well, it won't be too bad. We'll have to open a few wall sections up, and we can utilize some of the closets to conceal the piping.
So I give David a tour of the house and tell him my concerns about the center stairwell. Then he goes off on his own, checking closets and making measurements everywhere from the basement to the attic. A couple of weeks later, he's back with plans. So these plans have the location of every run of pipe and every sprinkler for the entire house, right?
Yep, the whole house.
This is the basement.
If the pressure's adequate.
Normally, the sprinkler system would tie right into our city water supply. The question is, do we have enough pressure? So what would you like to see here?
I'd love to see 100 psi. Then I know we'd be safe.
40. The solution to our woefully low water pressure is a 300-gallon water storage tank. The water pressure comes from a pump that's installed nearby. The pipe specified for home fire sprinkler systems is plastic, CPVC, or chlorinated polyvinyl chloride. It's similar to PVC water pipe, but more heat resistant and less likely to melt. It's joined using a pipe cement. Because the ceilings are low here in the basement, we're installing cages to protect the sprinkler heads from being accidentally bumped. With the basement complete, the work moves up to the first floor. Here, of course, the pipes must be concealed behind the walls, and that means removing sections of wallboard to expose the bays between the studs. Holding a vacuum nozzle close to the rotary cutting tool cuts down on the dust. Next, a hole is drilled through the bottom of the wall and into the basement below. A section of pipe is cut to length, cemented to a right angle fitting, Then the entire assembly is passed through the hole where it will be connected to the basement sprinkler line. Here on the first floor, the pipe is extended section by section up the wall and horizontally through the wall studs where necessary. To avoid opening up the ceilings, I've chosen what are called sidewall sprinkler heads here. While not invisible, they're high enough not to be that noticeable. We've gone from the basement to the first floor. We'll go upstairs where things will get nearly invisible.
Drop it.
David can avoid opening any walls on the second floor by running the pipe inside a closet. When exposed like this, though, the pipe must be metal instead of plastic. This power crimping tool squeezes the joints together, making a permanent, watertight seal. The final section of metal pipe is passed through the ceiling and into the attic. Here, the pipe is run horizontally above the bedroom ceilings. Holes are bored down through the ceiling drywall. The pipe is passed through, then secured in place. Thread sealant is applied to the sprinkler heads and they're screwed in. Finally, a cap is installed to conceal the recessed sprinkler from view. Now, this portion of the attic is unheated. To keep the pipes from freezing in the winter, insulation is laid on top, trapping the heat that will leak through the ceiling. Then the flooring is replaced. In places where the pipe passes above the joist, the exposed insulation is covered with wire mesh that's then stapled down. Downstairs, some of the pipe is concealed behind crown molding. Once the system is leak tested, it's pressurized and ready to go. If there is a fire, the nearest sprinkler will activate. In most cases, only one sprinkler will go off. Now I have one or more sprinklers standing guard in every room of my home. The concealed heads, like this one, will remain out of sight unless there's a fire. In that case, when the heat at the ceiling reaches about 150 degrees, the cover would drop away and the sprinkler would activate. Typically, within a minute or so, the fire would be out. Sprinklers like mine would discharge about 25 gallons of water per minute if they were activated. Firefighters' hoses, on the other hand, put out about 250 gallons per minute, 10 times as much. This is the kind of destruction a fire can cause in just minutes. And this is a typical example of how little damage can occur with sprinklers.
The fire was extinguished when we arrived.
You know, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that having a home fire sprinkler system is like having a firefighter in every room of your house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I know that's what I want when it comes to protecting what I value most. You guys. Well, I'm in a traveling mood again, so I'm going to pay a visit to Lori and Greg Miller in Arvada, Colorado. See if I can lend them a hand with their project. Now, they decided to turn a small window ledge in the dining room into a cozy window seat. And if it turns out the way I imagine it, it should make a great spot to curl up and read a good book. Hey, you must be Greg.
Yes, Ron, welcome.
Hi.
And Lori?
Yes.
I got that straight,
Yes,
huh?
you did.
you
Pleasure
did.
to meet you. Welcome to our home.
Thanks. Can I go inside and take a look at the
Absolutely.
project?
You
Please.
bet. Come on in. Ron, this is our project area here. If you want to take a look, you can see we already have a window seat built in, but have a seat. It's fairly narrow, not quite comfy enough.
Not quite enough to
right.
really relax and be comfortable.
Everybody gravitates to this area, no matter how many open seats we have. It is, sure. So as long as everybody's going to come to this area, I figured let's make it comfy, cozy.
So what do you have in mind?
Well, Ron, what we'd like to do is take it out a little bit wider, a little bit more functional.
Okay. And you want to use the space that's inside?
Absolutely.
Okay. Good. Here's what I'd like to do then. Let's start by taking off some of this woodwork down here, some of this trim, and then I want to make some measurements. And we'll go out in the garage after that and start cutting some wood.
Sounds great.
We start by using a small pry bar to remove the shoe molding. The putty knife protects the baseboard from dents. Then Greg cuts through the caulking at the top of the baseboard. This will keep us from tearing the wallboard as we pry off the woodwork. The trim on the edge of the existing seat and the wooden corner molding come off next. Finally, Greg and Lori lean into their pry bars and muscle off 2 layers of plywood from the old window seat. We remove a few remaining nails, and now it's time for some precision measuring.
The width there.
Okay.
All right, we have 12.5 plus 1 line.
It's one little line. Got it.
I've taken your dimensions and made a little sketch out of them right here. This is kind of what the window box is going to look like. The first thing that we want to do is to cut this piece right here. That's the one that's going to slip onto that ledge underneath the window.
We're going to cut our window seat out of 4 by 8 foot sheets of birch veneer plywood. This 8-foot aluminum straight edge will allow us to make cuts with the accuracy of a table saw. We first measure and mark the width of our panel. Then use the built-in clamp to secure the straight edge in place.
Lever down, okay? Now this can't go anywhere.
We've placed the plywood on parallel strips of lumber, leaving a space underneath. The saw blade is adjusted so that it cuts through the plywood, but not into the work surface below. Now it's time to start cutting.
Now you can see what happened here is that these spacers here and the other two kept this cut from moving at all. Nothing moved around. Everything gets supported and nothing binds the blade, or do you have to hold on anything?
Now we can begin to assemble the base of the window seat. First, we apply a bead of glue to the edge of an end panel.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay.
All right, we're going to put this up here and get this in position. Now, Lori, if you can hold that right there. Okay, I'm going to put a clamp on the bottom just to kind of hold things from keeping them from moving around here. All right, now we're going to nail this together. We could use a hammer nail, but I'm a real fan of the nail gun here. Very simple to use. Just want you to put it up here like this. Press it up against the wood. You see how this moves, this right here? Make sure it's straight, that this is in alignment with the side back here. And pull the trigger. That's all there is to it. One of those about every 2 or 3 inches.
That's all there is to it, huh?
Lori is a quick study, and she and Greg move ahead, assembling the rest of the base. A brace across the center will help support the top.
Okay, I think that's good.
Good.
Next, we mix up a batch of polyester resin. This is car body filler, and we apply it to the exposed plywood edges.
The advantage of this material is that it dries very fast and will allow us to go right ahead and start our painting.
We'll make the top from a single piece of plywood, to which we'll add strips of molding. Using the power miter box, Lori makes 45-degree cuts on the ends of the molding.
It's not bad, yeah, not bad.
Again, we'll apply glue to the edge of the plywood.
Go as far as you can, and you can either finish it up or hand it off to Greg. Okay, Greg, this is that piece of casing. Just put this right on top. Now, I want to slide it down so that the inside of that miter is right at the edge of the wood. Let me know when you're there.
I think I'm there.
Right there, okay. This is a smaller nail gun called a pin nailer.
The fine brads used by the pin nailer will keep the molding from splitting. Once the front molding is in place, we apply glue to the end pieces and the miter. Slip it into position, and nail it. Well, we finished building our window seat. Now it's time to give it a coat of paint.
I can see it coming together.
The first step in installing the window seat is to replace the old plywood that we took out earlier with a new piece.
Putting it in place, Greg. So this is going to cover up the ledge, replace that piece that we took out. Now let's get the window seat itself. Just like that. Okay, Greg, slide it right underneath. There you go, just like that.
The base is attached by first drilling clearance holes through the back, then driving screws into the wall studs.
So there's a gap right here between the front here and the floor. So to fill that, we're going to slide in a shim to make sure that this is resting on the floor. This is a piano hinge. It's a continuous hinge that runs the full length of the top here. So let's set this in place. Let's hold it right in there. Okay, move it down.
Ready to try this out?
Let's try it out.
Okay. It works.
Look at that. Like a glove.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
We're getting close to the end now as we reinstall the trim at the corners and around the base.
Last piece, huh?
Oh,
Nice fit.
this is great.
Okay, Lori.
Okay, here we go.
With the last piece of molding in place, I get to sit down on the job.
I would have
Oh,
to
at least
agree.
for a moment.
Well, I'm going to hit the road,
Okay.
so enjoy this.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Well,
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Enjoy.
Take care.
You know, there's nothing I like more than comparing a before picture with the end result.
Wonderful.
I agree. We're going to get good use out of this.
Now, if you're using a wooden planter box, here are 3 tips that'll help your planter last longer and keep your plants healthier. With a putty knife, apply roofing cement to the inside of the planter. That'll protect it from water and keep it from rotting. Cover the drain holes on the bottom with landscape fabric to keep the soil from washing out. Finally, fill your planter with a good quality potting soil. Motivational speaker and author Og Mandino said, "Always reward your long hours of labor and toil in the very best way, surrounded by your family. Even if you have failed at all else in the eyes of the world, if you have a loving family, you are a success." I don't need to add a thing to that thought. Thanks for watching.
To view today's projects again, visit ronhazelton.com, where you'll find hundreds of how-to videos available 24/7.